everyone. I welcome you here in the fourth session of our Word Power Made Easy series. And today we are going to explore the fascinating world of medical specialists. Now, ever wondered what words like cardiologist or dermatologist actually mean? Now, today we are going to break them down by learning their root words. And that will help you to remember them easily. So, let's get ready to boost our vocabulary and master these powerful words. But before that, you have something to discuss. What is that we have to discuss together? If you remember in the last session, I gave you a small homework. I do not know how many of you actually had taken that work diligently and actually commented your answers in the chat box. But if you haven't, then I'm going to give you a moment to go through these words. By the way, these words are based on the previous three sessions that we have had on word power made easy. Now, if you have the general know-how of the root words, you will be able to decode it. If you have watched the three sessions sincerely, then you'll probably get the answers very quickly. Now, let's talk about anthropocentric. It comes from two root words, anthro plus center. Then we have andromania, again two root words, andro plus mania. Then we have gynandrous. It has gyne and andros. Okay. And then we have monomania, mono plus mania. Then we have Misen and Andros. So these are the root words. And if you're familiar with them, you will possibly be able to decipher these words. I've already told you the root words. Let's also discuss their meanings in a detailed fashion now. So as you can see, anthropocentric comes from two words, anthro and center. Now here, when we talk about anthro, it actually is related to the evolution of mankind. So obviously, it has some connection to mankind. Then we have the second word, centric, and it basically means something which is our center or something that is central to our discussion. So putting them together, we basically get its meaning. It describes thinking, assumptions, reasoning that see mankind as a central fact or ultimate aim of the universe. That is anthropocentrism. Then we have the second word, andromania, andros, which basically means men. And mania is madness or obsessiveness. So when somebody is mad about men, such a person is known as andromaniac. Okay, and its adjectival form is andromaniacal, right? And basically, having this condition basically gives you andromania. Then we have gynandrous because it has two root words, gyne and andros. Gyne stands for women and andros stands for men. That means somebody who possesses the qualities of both men and women. In biology, in your textbooks, you might have definitely studied about such plants who have both the sexual organs in the same plant. Okay, so that is the first meaning, plants in which male and female organs are united in the same column. Then people who physically have both female and male sexual organs. Those are also known as gynandrous. And then a more recent meaning, people who actually exhibit or display an understanding or they are willing to own up their female and male emotional side. Okay, so these are the three meanings of the word gynandrous. There's also another word that you might have heard of in biology, and that is hermaphroditic. Now, hermaphroditic is actually made out of two words. One is Hermes, and the second one is Aphrodite. Both of them Greek gods and goddesses. That's what we are talking about here. So, if you talk about Hermes, also known as Mercury, he served as a messenger or herald. And then we have Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love and beauty. And again, somebody who has both the male and female parts in their body, that person can also be known as hermaphrodite. Okay, that's from where we get the word hermaphroditic. Then we have the next word, monomania, combination of mono plus mania. You already know by this time that mania actually means madness and mono means singular, right? So a person who is obsessed with one thing or obsessive in one area is a monomaniac. And the last word is misandrist. It combines two root words, misen, which means to hate, and andros, which means men. And a man hater is basically a misandrist. Okay. Now let's get started with today's session. As I've already told you about the agenda for the day, and that is to discuss the medical specialist. Now, the first in line is a doctor that actually gives you a thorough examination. Okay, wait a second. Yeah. So, sometimes there is something wrong within your body, something that you cannot really put a finger on. Okay. So, when you are trying to find out what ails you, just a second. Yeah, something that's troubling you. There's a specialist who actually gives you a thorough analysis by, having a physical examination of your body using, impressive machines like X-ray, blood chemistry, urine analysis. So they basically run an array of tests on your body and then they finally chart out your problems. Something that is wrong internally. Okay. So someone who checks you internally is an internist. Very easy to remember, right? Then we have the second doctor. If a female is having some female troubles, and what are these female troubles? It might be related to your reproductive organ or your sexual organ, and for that, you will basically go to a gynecologist, right? A doctor specially meant for females and to treat these problems, reproductive as well as sexual. Then the third in line is somebody who is pregnant and having some troubles also related to pregnancy in general or a general checkup. Okay, so having a baby, the specialist delivers babies and takes care of the mother during and immediately in the process. So, such a doctor is an obstetrician. Okay, so please do not confuse a gynecologist with an obstetrician. These are two different doctors, two different terminologies. Okay, moving to the next one. Now, as a child, I think we have all been ill from time to time. Okay, so childhood maladies, some common childhood maladies are mumps, whooping cough, chicken pox, measles. Children are usually prone to all these diseases, and for that, you go to a child specialist, right? And what do we call a child specialist? A pediatrician. Okay, a pediatrician is somebody who basically helps calm down the fears of the parents because a child is generally not very verbal and doesn't really express what's wrong. So he or she, a pediatrician basically, is going to treat your child. Then the next in line is, I think this is a dream for most people living around, and that is to have clear skin, right? We all want clear skin. We all want porcelain glass skin, just like Koreans. And for that, we also have a doctor. Now, there are many skin conditions like psoriasis, skin cancer, impetigo. These are some diseases that we have talked about here. It can range from simple acne to something as wild as cancer. Okay. And for that, we have a specialist and we call them a dermatologist. I think this is pretty common, something that everybody might have heard before, or most of the people might have gone to a dermatologist to actually cure themselves of their skin problems. Now, then we have, yeah, I think in the world we live today, and because most of our time is spent on our phones, we generally have eye disorders, right? So, a person who has specialty when it comes to disorders of vision like myopia, astigmatism, cataracts, related to eyes basically, and somebody who prescribes you glasses, sometimes even surgery, such a doctor is known as an ophthalmologist. Oh, can you see it? Yes. An ophthalmologist, right? Next. Yeah. So generally, people who are into outdoor games and somebody who's into strength training, they are actually, I would say, more prone to having problems like these. But obviously, strength training in the long run is really beneficial. And playing games is also really, really good for your bones. But the thing is, you cannot really prevent yourself from accidents. So that is what we are talking about here. So this specialist actually helps you deal with the skeletal structure of the body. He treats your bone fractures, slip discs, club foot, all of those problems. Basically, something that is related to bones. We have a specialist for that. And that person is known as an orthopedist. Okay? If you have slip disc, if you have back problems, if you have bone problems, fractures of any sort, ligament damage, you go to an orthopedist. Then I think all of our hearts go pitter patter. The specialist who treats the diseases of the heart, and I think because of our eating habits, especially in India, most people suffer from heart diseases. And for that, we go to a cardiologist. Maybe never have to go to a cardiologist though. And then, now that we have talked about somebody who cures the problem of the heart, let's also talk about somebody who cures the problem of the brain. Is your brain functioning well? Okay, so somebody who specializes in the treatment of disorders of the brain, not just the brain, but spinal cord and also the rest of the nervous system, is known as a neurologist, right? Now, the last one in the scheme of things is, are you neurotic? Do you have brain trouble? Brain trouble means somebody who easily breaks down in front of people, have mental breakdowns, and depression, all of those problems. Not generally depression, because there is a different doctor for depression, but yeah, some brain related issues like emotional disturbances. And occasionally they give you drugs or electroshock, depending upon on what stage you are, right? So, such a person is known as a psychiatrist, right? Somebody who helps you calm down your mental issues is a psychiatrist. Then we have an exercise based on all the words that we have just discussed. So let's see whether you are able to match it to the right doctor, match the fields to the doctor. Let's get started. So we just learned a doctor who treats your mental or emotional disturbances, helps you alleviate them, calm them down, soothe them down, is a psychiatrist. So the answer to this is J. Then we have nervous system. Nervous system includes brain, spinal cord, and the nervous system, right? So somebody who helps you with that is a neurologist. Skin doctor is a dermatologist. Where do we see that? Here. Diagnosis, internal organs, the hint is right there. An internist, somebody who deals with infants and their maladies and their diseases like mumps, like whooping cough, is a pediatrician. Female reproductive organs is a gynecologist. Eyes, ophthalmologist. Heart, cardiologist. Pregnancy and childbirth is an obstetrician. Skeletal system, the only one that's left is orthopedist. So this is your exercise and this is the answer key. Now, taking you to the next exercise, I want you to spend some time and see whether you get the answers to this. Ready? Is an internist an expert in diagnosis? And why wouldn't he be? Because he has all the impressive array of tests that he can run, right? So, yeah, of course, such a person is an expert in diagnosis. Is a gynecologist familiar with the female reproductive organs? Of course, yes. Gynae is related to women only. Then we have, does an obstetrician specialize in diseases of childhood? No, it's a pediatrician, not an obstetrician. Does a pediatrician deliver babies? Again, no. It should be interchanged. Then, if you had a skin disease, would you visit a dermatologist? 100%. If you had trouble with your vision, would you visit an orthopedist? Orthopedist is the one that helps you with bones. So, big no. Is an ophthalmologist an eye specialist? Yes. Yeah, check these out. Done? So, does a cardiologist treat bone fractures? Big fat no. Is a neurologist a nerve specialist? Yes. If you were nervous, tense, overly anxious, constantly fearful for no apparent reasons, would a psychiatrist be the specialist to see? 100% yes. Right? So these are our answers. If you want, you can take a screenshot. Now, write the name of the specialist you might visit or be referred to. Giving you 2 minutes to gather your thoughts. Yeah. For a suspected brain disorder, a neurologist. Then, for a thorough internal checkup, an internist. If you have a skin disease, a dermat. If you have a heart problem, a cardiologist. If you are tense, fearful, insecure, you need to visit a psychiatrist. If you are pregnant, you go to an obstetrician. This is B, by the way. Then, for some disorder of the female reproductive organs, a gynecologist, right? Let's see the next. For a checkup of your 2-month-old child, that means somebody who is a specialist in infants and their problems is a pediatrician. For faulty vision and for curvature of the spine, orthopedist. Right? Please take a screenshot if you want to. Now, this is based on all the 4 sessions that we have had so far, and basically it tests your ability to remember information. So let's try to do this together. Ready? What does the term ambidextrous mean? Ambidextrous is a person who has the ability to use both their hands with equal skill. I gave you the example of Viru Sahasrabuddhe from Three Idiots, if you remember. So, what should be the answer? B. Then, the Latin word sinister originally meant left hand, but in English, what does sinister now mean? Somebody who is sinister is evil, wicked, dangerous, threatening. A misanthrope. Misen means to hate, right? And anthropos basically means mankind. So somebody who hates mankind is a misanthrope. What is bigamy? Bi stands for two. So first is automatically eliminated, and the correct answer is B, the unlawful act of having more than one spouse without divorcing the current one. Gamy is related to marriage, bi is related to two. The Greek root gyne means woman, which specialist treats female disorders. We just learned it. A gynecologist, they have served the answer on a platter to us. What does adroit mean? Somebody who is adroit is exceptionally skillful, especially in mental faculties. Yes. Moving to the next one. Polyandry. Poly is multiple, and andros is related to men. So many men. What does that mean? A woman who has multiple husbands. B. An ascetic lifestyle. Somebody who has given up all the materialistic pleasures lives an ascetic life. So what should be the answer? Austerity, simplicity, and self denial. The suffix ist typically denotes. Now, this is something that you will definitely have to rack your brains for. Look at this, philanthropist. Then we have other words like misogynist or gynecologist. So, ist actually stands for a person. What should be the answer? C, a person who does something. And then the last question for the day. Which medical specialist treats mental and emotional disturbances? We are not talking about brain, we are talking about mental problems. Okay? For brain, we have neurologist. For mental problems, we have a psychiatrist. So the correct answer is C. Also, as you can see on the screen, we are launching CAT and OMIT's advanced batch. Now, what is so special about this particular batch is, first of all, we offer you the most personalized MBA prep program, and you also get 300 plus hours coverage. As well as revision, 100 plus mocks, 400 plus topic tests. Along with that, you get support and guidance from IM alumni and weekly performance review, basically something to gauge your performance on a regular basis. And the classes are usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. As you can see, we also help you with GD, VAT, and PI. So you can definitely enroll with us and basically avail this feature. And yeah, that's it from my side, guys. As you can see, this was the end of our session. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll be meeting soon in the next session of Word Power Made Easy. Until then, happy learning. Bye bye.